what I wanted to start with these 10 points to hit up the debate. Economy or economic system is too complex to leave it just for economics or even economists. So, and neither classical nor no-classical economies, they gave us enough explanations of the complexity of economic system. This is why we need to look for another economy. I think that we still have a potential. Then I would like to hear from you how good is ecological economics, which embrace all schools of economic thoughts, from classical to neoclassical, evolutionary, behavioral, decentralized, evolutionary, and so on, to respond to the to explain the economic system, its interdependencies, what is the topic of. Particularly, I follow my Swedish colleague Peter Zonderbaum and also Tittenberg, the American economists. They had big trust in potential of ecological economics, but we still, I feel, as a part of ecological economy, we are still struggling to define the paradigm of ecological economics. We know that it's mainly with the balance, dynamic balance of ecosystems, but we still are debating. And the next, I would like to look at, to state what we agreed already, the free or perfect markets are just rarely happening. There are mainly theoretical constructs. I mean, it's like with the Newtonian physics, the absolute vacuum, which does not exist, in fact, in the nature. So anyway, if we have rather to deal with imperfect markets, distorted markets, so we need to have institutions to correct. And this is why institutions are important. I treat institutions not given like some economists given from God, but are human creations. These are the rules, roles, standards, norms to help us to survive, to guide our behavior in communities. There are no institutions without human communities, I believe. So, and designing institutions is a very complex issue. My friend, late friend, unfortunately, Leo Hulvich, used to say that designing institutions is like a game. You never predict, no, for sure, what would be the result. So, but for sure, and everybody agrees, including Elinor Ostrom, I had the pleasure to work with her, and her name was several times mentioned here. The basic element of good institutional design is involvement of people, participation, real participation, not, artificial or formal. And this is the basic ingredient to, can I get? What we expect from good institutions. First of all, loyalty. And there is a famous statement of Bella, who said that the strongest institutions are not those which have armies or police behind as enforcement, but those which are working silently, because people are attached to them, feel loyal, feel ownership. So loyalty is very important product of the institution. Obeying the law. Law is one of the basic institutions. And the institutions which enforce mutual respect, and provide the mechanism for conflict solutions. So the important are the criteria of institutional sustainability, and this I follow my friend Leo Hurwicz. He mentioned just 3 incentives. If we do not follow incentives, positive or negative, and I would prefer rather to focus on positive, the institutions cannot survive. We saw this under the previous system. I used to live 40 years under centrally planned system with totalitarian political single party system, which collapsed and disappeared very, very quickly because there was no attachment, no loyalty, and no incentives to keep it longer. Efficiencies and other market institutions are collapsing if they are ineffective, inefficient. And subsidiarity, this is what we're talking, and this is very important. I like the metaphor of the garden. You know, we are gardeners, each of us, you know, designing institutions, shaping the garden and looking, you know, I mean, we need to decentralize the power to the lowest, rationally speaking, you know, level. And this is the issue, because there are forces pushing for centralization. And finally, how there was good discussion yesterday, today, about the future, and I hope this is particularly the question for Carlos, who presented a nice picture, the spark in the dark. Yeah, sure. How we could move. Mechanisms of moving there are very important. The same was with the last speaker, you know. If we are, the process of reaching is equally important as designing the picture or vision. This is what we should think. And I think that the prevailing vision among my friends from World Academy is that we need to start of building human capital and social capital armed with the new way of thinking. And this is what I think that this meeting will help us. And then, you know, investing in human capital, investing in social capital, in the relations. You know, the most sophisticated, I am doing research on clusters, you know, which are these networks of industries. The most sophisticated, like Silicon Valley, they learned several years ago there is no more way to improve performance by further investing in human capital, because they have already very high. The major returns, if I use economic language, are coming from social capital. And this is a good example. They are fighting, competing each other, but also collaborating to have a good, fair environment, to push the education system in the right, to put the right infrastructure. So, I mean, the social capital is very, very critical, very often, and omitted, not existing in neoclassical economics. Finally, we should also have a smart investment, and investment in the man-made physical capital. And then we need to use sustainable. We were talking, and we'll be talking more tomorrow. There's the whole session, the natural capital, which is also, to a large extent, physical. And finally, we need to take effective control of the financial capitals. We have the big discrepancy. We have over $250 trillion total financial capital, but comparing with only less than $80 trillion global GDP. What does it mean in terms of, we'll be talking about money? And then if we would treat money that we can convert into goods, so it would be big troubles. So anyway, and then demonization of the financial capital, and then who controls emission of money? How it is controlled? I mean, there are many issues. And finally, we need to think seriously about introducing the sustainability criteria for any economic development, from the low level, local level, to the national, supranational level, and start departing from demonization of GDP.